Hey y'all, welcome back. Today we're checking out I Only Saw This From My Window After Moving to America. Let's start the video. That's the intro.
I'm making a video for my YouTube channel.
Who's he talking to?
Hello. Do you ever find yourself just gazing out of the window and not in a creepy way? Perhaps
all the time.
at the weather or those joggers running by or that.
Y'all, all the time. I stare out the window. What's he gonna say? Homeless people, fat people in scooters, stolen Walmart carts, garbage in the streets. I don't know. ICE agents. Continue, Lawrence, thank you.
That bloke who lets his dog in your yard. Well, today, I too am in a glancing mood. Why? Well, firstly, this is about to be a video in which I compare some of the things that I've seen from British and American living rooms, but also because nobody else in this house gazed more from this window than my cat. And I have the unfortunate news of announcing to you, his worshippers, that after 14 years, 10 months and 12 days, Mr. Kafka has died. It goes without saying that we miss him very much, and because of that, we wanted to make a video that he would have loved.
His cat died, y'all. Lawrence, I'm so sorry. Y'all, a pet death is the worst heartbreak that I've ever experienced. I've lost all my grandparents. I've lost a parent. I've lost uncles and aunts. Very dear people to me. Beloved. Foundations of my existence have left this earth, as far as I know. But losing my dog tore me down. Like, I don't even want to think about it. We're gonna move on. Let's move on. I'm sorry about Mr. Kafka. This is supposed to be a fun video. I'm not gonna cry. How dare you, Lawrence?
Or hated because he was a cat. And it only seems fitting that the final...
That's true, y'all. You never know with a cat, and I respect that. I respect that. Dogs love almost anything. Unless you gotta really piss off a dog, I think. But cats, whatever.
have loved or hated because he was a cat. And it only seems fitting that the final footage that I ever took of him was that which I included in the previous video of him and Arthur looking out of the window. And so if you have a thing for being bummed out by really sad news and you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, do that now.
Y'all be sure to go to Lost in the Pond and like and subscribe. This is sad. My dog used to... when I would come home, I would see my dog sitting in the window looking for me. Or looking out. I don't know if he was looking for me. I don't know his internal intentions. But when I got home, he stopped looking out the window. So I think he was waiting for me to come home. And now he's dead. Anyway, be sure to go to Lost in the Pond and like and subscribe. And if you made it 1 minute into this video, maybe give me a like and subscribe. Try not to talk about my dead dog anymore.
In the meantime, here's a fun and comprehensive look at some of the things that I've seen out of British and American windows. What are we at time-wise?
Interesting.
It almost seems appropriate that we start on the subject of birds, which, as far as I could tell...
Did he say, what are we at time-wise?
Look at some of the things that I've seen out of British and American windows. What are we at time-wise? It almost seems...
I don't get that. But we're at 1 minute and 12 seconds, Lawrence.
appropriate that we start on the subject of birds, which, as far as I could tell, were the #1 reason that Kafka looked out the window. Of course, anybody who's seen my attempts at impersonating David Attenborough will know that both countries are not lacking for birds. It's just that, the type of bird does often differ from one side of the pond to the other. Where I grew up in Britain, it was all about the wood pigeons, which sound a bit like this. But in the house that I grew up in, it was also not uncommon to see sparrows, maybe even the occasional chaffinch. And actually, just recently, I read that chaffinches are one of many birds that are common to Britain, but you won't find in North America. Then again...
I've never heard of a chaffinch, I don't think. To my untrained eye, most of those birds look the same. Except for the one that had the orange chest.
Maybe even the occasional chaffinch. And actually, just recently, I read that chaffinches are one of many birds that are common to Britain, but you won't find in North America. Then again, the US has plenty that Britain doesn't. I've just seen one up in the tree.
We do have pigeons. And doves. Are pigeons and dove basically the same? Wood? Pigeon. I don't know if we have those. Native to Western Palearctic. Our doves don't do quite that same call, or pigeons. It's more like, ooh, 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 ooh. Something like that, I think, right? Hang on. It's a very familiar sound, and I can't believe I can't remember it. My dad used to make the sound by making his hands like this and going, I can't do it. Mourning dove call. Wow. Yes, that's it. Wow, 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 wow. Wow. Is this video AI? Because how perfect is this that a dove just shows up, looks at the camera, does a call? This is like a casting, like an audition. You got the role, sir. Hello, my name is Woody the Wood Pigeon. Thank you. And he says thank you and leaves. William Morris endeavors. We've made it 1:54 into the video. Am I stopping it too much? I don't know.
Find in North America. Then again, the US has plenty that Britain doesn't. I've just seen one up in the tree. American robin! Also, here in Chicago, it's very common to see mourning doves. About 3 years ago, me and Kafka did a video all about this North American phenomenon. And just a few weeks ago, we had mourning doves down here in these bushes. And Kafka was right in this area looking at them. It's tremendously weird, isn't it? How quickly things can change with cats. And then cardinals. And actually, a few years ago, while I was taking one of those online quizzes, I discovered something about cardinals. Did you know there are 7 US states that have the cardinal as their state bird? All 7 states are joined together to form one huge country that happens to be shaped like an upside-down cardinal. Or maybe it's my cat, I don't know. Mayonnaise. And of course, in both countries, even on streets where garages exist...
I'm sorry, what? Did you just say mayonnaise for no reason?
Huge country that happens to be shaped like an upside-down cardinal. Or maybe it's my cat, I don't know. Mayonnaise. And of course, in both countries...
What was that? That has to be part of some bigger joke he's doing, right? Some bit. Like, how many times can I randomly say mayonnaise? I love it. Way to go, Lawrence. I caught you, Lawrence. Saying mayonnaise. Yeah, cardinals come out in the spring. They're there for a little bit of the summer, and then you don't see them for the rest of the year. So it's always a cool thing to see a cardinal, you know? That's a male. The females are brown. That is the least camouflage bird. It's a target for every predator. Every cat, every hawk. Easy eating, easy hunting.
A few years ago, while I was taking one of those online quizzes, I discovered something about cardinals. Did you know they're
also super sexy, don't you think? That's a handsome bird.
Mayonnaise. And of course, in both countries, even on streets where garages exist within a house or next to it, you'll often see cars parked on the side of the road. And this is probably where the British view becomes an AI rendering of the American view or vice versa. The cars are just slightly...
I'm sorry to stop it again, but that's an amazing image. Ford F-150s on a tiny British road. Wow, that's something that would never happen in real life. Look how much of the road they take up. There's really only room for a golf cart or a bicycle or something. Wow, hilarious.
The British view becomes an AI rendering of the American view or vice versa. The cars are just slightly different. I say slightly. We've talked before about how American cars are more massive. You've also got the type of cars that are popular. In Britain, it's your Ford Fiestas or your Vauxhall Corsas or your Volkswagen Golfs. Whereas here, it's your pickup trucks or your Honda Civics or your, Toyota Camry. And here's something I've noticed, specifically here in the US, is that most of the cars that I'm seeing down this street and that I see on the road at any given time are either silver, white, or black. And this is, due to a number of reasons. A lot of it's cost. And or the owner doesn't want to risk getting a car that's, puce and growing sick of it. In Britain, it's similar to this. However, in the top 3 most popular car colours, blue has usurped white in that 3rd space. Moving to...
Oh, wow. I used to work in the car industry, and choosing the color was oftentimes the most difficult for a customer. They knew what other features they wanted. They knew if they wanted, what kind, the model and the make, they knew what they wanted, but the color was always a big debate. Some people knew exactly what color they wanted. If an older man came into the car store, I'll call it, a lot of times they would choose tan, a tan or beige car. So much that eventually we started calling the color Old Man Tan. It's very predictable color to choose. I think black was the most popular, then white, then gray. In my personal experience, but he's saying white was third, I think. Is that what he said?
White or black. And this is, due to a number of reasons.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? I have also heard that in the 1980s, blue was the most popular color in America. Let me just look that up. White is the most popular color, followed by black, silver, gray, natural shades of beige and brown, red, and blue. Oh, globally. Okay. White is the most popular in North America. Wait. So North America, white, black, then silver, definitely. Then gray, red, blue, brown, green, others. Europe, it's the same order here, looks like. Oh, that's in Europe, though. I wonder if they're including the UK. Interesting. We'll take Lawrence's word for it. I have seen a puce car. Anyway, moving on.
Popular car colours, blue has usurped white in that third space. Moving to America has introduced me to a wealth of cultural differences. Driving on the right, tipping everybody, including the toaster. And my personal favourite, being told that I've won an iPhone 14 simply for existing. And while I never clicked on those obviously suspicious links, it turns out that simply living online is enough for your data to be harvested and sold like a multi-pack of Jaffa cakes. Seriously, there are these entities known as data brokers who gather your personal info before selling it on to advertisers, spammers, and maybe that guy who keeps emailing me about crypto.
Y'all be sure to go to incogni.com/lostinthepond and buy privacy.
That America has two completely different brands of mayonnaise that are... As I look out here right now, the thing
Mayonnaise
that really
again.
stands...
What? Yeah, someone's up.
By using the code Lost in the Pond. The link is in my description below. Did you know that America has two completely different brands of mayonnaise that are... As I look out here right now, the thing that really stands out to me compared to when I used to live in Britain is all the grass. But it isn't just the garden or yard that presents grass. You have grass on the other side of what Americans know as the sidewalk. We know it as the pavement. It's nowhere near as common on British residential streets to have that grassy area next to the road. And so what I think that does is, it sort of expands the distance from this house to the houses across the street. So thankfully, because of that, it's much harder for my neighbours across the street to see me dancing in my underpants. Mayo-infused crisp sandwich, whether I'm here in Chicago. The funny thing is, though, if British streets did commonly have Burms...
Hang on, there was more mayonnaise talk there.
...across the street to see me dancing in my underpants. Mayo-infused crisp sandwich, whether I'm here in Chicago. The funny thing is...
Okay, interesting. Yeah, a lot of places here have the sidewalk with grass on the other side. We call the grass part the green strip, usually. I don't know if that's an official term. But not everywhere has a green strip. Not everywhere has a green strip. Not everywhere has a sidewalk. Actually, we don't have enough sidewalks. Mayo-infused crisp sandwich, whether I'm here in Chicago. The funny thing is, though, if British streets did commonly have berms, or one of the many other terms for that strip of grass, most of us wouldn't be able to see it. Do you know why? Hands up. Hands up. Those are... I'm sorry to stop it there, but I just had to look up Burms. Is that the name of it? B-U-R-M? Burm. B-E-R-M. A berm is a level space shelf or raised barrier, usually made of compacted soil, separating areas in a vertical way, especially by the way. Oh, I don't think that's exactly what a berm is. Or I don't think that the green strip is actually a berm, but okay, I learned a new word. Great.
Terms for that strip of grass. Most of us wouldn't be able to see it. Do you know why? Hands up. Hands up. Those of you at the back, what's the answer? Because there'd be a wall in the way. That's right, a garden wall, often made of brick, that basically secures off the perimeter of your garden from, the general public. That is weirdly less common in the US. Sometimes there'll be a fence, and sometimes it's just open land from the sidewalk to the front yard, which is why he is able to bring his dog into mine. Get out! I don't know you which approach I really prefer, because I think that the walls that I'm talking about in Britain, they're not usually, this high. It's something that, a baby could climb over, and often do. Where are the parents? I suppose it would stop hedgehogs getting in. Actually, I don't know why you'd want to do that. Hedgehogs are really cute, which actually brings us on to this. So what's going on?
Interesting with the wall. Some houses here definitely do have walls, but I guess it's less common. A lot of places in Los Angeles will have a wall and then like really tall hedges to keep privacy, so you can't even see the house. And it probably makes them feel more secure, but I've heard security experts say that that's actually less secure because you don't have the benefit of your neighbors being able to see when someone's climbing in a broken window or something. So it's actually less safe. Most burglaries are thwarted by neighbors calling the cops for the house that's being burglarized. It sounds like those British walls are just, like you said, high enough to keep the hedgehogs out. Don't want those hedgehogs in, right? I'm trying to picture a British house with a wall in front of it. Oh, I see. I love the way that wall looks. It looks homey, warm. Yeah, okay. Yes. Yes. I usually don't notice the wall, the garden wall. I think it looks nice. You know what I love about it? Is if you have a small dog, that's all you need. And the dog's not gonna dig underneath that. If you have like a fence or a gate, the dog can dig under it and escape your grasp, escape your love. It doesn't understand that you love it. It wants to roam. It has wanderlust. You must keep it close for its own safety. Tell me more, Lawrence.
So what's going on? Animals. Because I think actually hedgehogs getting in. Actually, I don't know why you'd want to do that. Hedgehogs are really cute, which actually brings us on to this. So what's going on? Animals, because I think earlier when I talked about birds, it did a disservice to the rest of the animal kingdom that rears its beautiful head in my neck of the woods, and the neck of the woods that I lived in England. Actually, hedgehogs are a prime example of this. When I was a kid, one of the most exciting things of the summer was seeing those spiky mammals roaming our garden. I even once collected one in a box and gave it some leaves. But whenever I've spoken to Americans about hedgehogs, I get one of two responses. It's either, oh my god, they're so cute, I want to see one. Or, wait, hedgehogs are real? I thought they were invented by Sega. On the other hand, if you are American and you're looking...
Oh my god, that's so cute, I want to see one for real. Is that what he thinks? Is that what we sound like?
It's either, oh my god, they're so cute, I want to see one. Or, wait, hedgehogs are real? I thought they were invented by Sega. On the other hand, if you are American and you're looking out your window at night, you might, on rare occasions, see a coyote or a raccoon. Or if you live in one of those western states, Bigfoot. It's just an absolute minefield of scary animals.
Bigfoot also lives on the East Coast, in the Appalachians. But yeah, coyotes and raccoons. Even in Los Angeles, like in the city, you'll see coyotes and raccoons walking the streets at night. It's kind of terrifying. They don't care. They do not care that a person is around. They're totally used to us and ready to eat us. Or our garbage.
Do you know what animal I see less of out there than I did in Britain? Cats. Not a lot of people know this, but Britain, and I think Europe in general, is way bigger on outdoor cats than America. When I went to university in the city of Lancaster in England, it almost felt like every single cobblestone street that I passed, there was a cat with a collar on, just, looking for its next disease. And they were everywhere. And then I moved here. When you see a cat outside, it's sort of a shocking thing after a while.
Yeah.
And that's saying something because, there are more domesticated cats in America, this is what I was reading, than there are people in Britain. But according to the National Library of Medicine,
there are more domesticated cats in the United States than there are people in Britain. Hey, if y'all need some cats, we can ship them over. Outdoor cats, yeah, I feel like even just in my lifetime, outdoor cats used to be more common than they are now. Actually, the cat that lives across the hallway in an apartment there, he's an outdoor cat, and he leaves critters on our front step. I love it. It almost feels like he's my cat, even though he's not. Sometimes I come home and he's sitting there in front of my door and I'll pet him. Little single-serve cat, Little oxytocin. I love it. I don't have to feed it, although when it's hot, I do leave water for it outside. Anyway, but there are other cats that live in another apartment in my building, and I've only ever seen them, there's 2 of them, when I've gone to that neighbor's apartment inside. They don't leave the apartment ever. And I think that's most people's cats. They don't let them outside ever. I have a feeling because if the cat gets outside and doesn't want to come home, the cat is not coming home. You know, maybe it is. The outdoor cat does come home. Huh, what's up with that? The reason I've heard that people don't let their cats outside is because they can catch all kinds of diseases. And, I mean, yeah, it's kind of gross. You don't know what they're getting into. They're playing with lizards and rats. It's kind of gross. Anyway,
is what I was reading, then there are people in Britain. But according to the National Library of Medicine, just 20% of American cat owners allow their cats outdoors. The same study found that in the UK, the number is as high as 74. And my voice. In fact, gosh, I've only just remembered this. When I was a kid, I looked out of my front room window and the 2 houses opposite, I saw a cat jumping from roof to roof. And in hindsight, I'm glad Kafka never saw that because he was rubbish at parkour. Don't judge me.
I do feel like the cat wants to be outside. I feel like that's its natural environment, you know? And to keep a cat inside, I guess in terms of keeping it from acquiring a disease, it's good, but I don't think it's the happiest life for the cat, you know? The cat needs to hunt. It's a predator. It needs to meet other cats. Oh, I bet that's why, because they don't want kittens. I bet that's why. Trying to manage their cat sex life.
Window in the 2 houses opposite, I saw a cat jumping from roof to roof. And in hindsight, I'm glad Kafka never saw that because he was rubbish at parkour. Don't judge me, I'm British. You know, though, whether he was watching Morning Dogs or Squirrels, which he was also a big fan of, he would often be glancing up, and not because squirrels in America fly. I don't want you to get that impression. Mayonnaise, a popular condiment, both. I can't believe I'm having to correct myself on this, but during the edit for this video, I found out that America does.
I'm sorry, that was another mayonnaise thing.
Squirrels in America fly. I don't want you to get that impression. Mayonnaise, a popular condiment, both. I can't believe I'm having to correct myself on this, but during the edit for this video, I found out that America does have flying squirrels.
Yeah.
And that this doesn't even crack the top 10 of the most insane things that happened in America in the last hour. They're up.
Yeah, y'all know what flying squirrels are, right? Like they have that extra membrane between their arm and their leg, and they like, just like those suits.
Doesn't even crack the top 10 of the most insane things that happened in America in the last hour. They're up in the trees. And I was thinking about something last summer, and I'll probably be thinking about again here in a few weeks. There's something about the trees here in Illinois that's just distinctly different from Britain. And it's not just the type of tree. I think it's the vibrance of the leaves. I'm talking about the greenliness. Quick reminder, greenliness is just my word that I made up to mean the degree to which something is green. Now, that vibrancy may well come from the fact that we just have more days of sun in Chicago than we do in Britain, which is a sentence that I think most Chicagoans would struggle to believe. I think most of the time when you're walking down a street in Britain, the trees, they're quite dark green, like spinach. You know, I wouldn't recommend eating them, especially when the sparrows have just had a feast. I wasn't watching you. I'm making a video for my YouTube channel. And finally, we get to the real reason.
The trees are darker green. That's interesting because I know when I lived on the East Coast, in the spring, the trees sprout. Well, in the winter, like the leaves fall off, right? Except for the pine trees and the evergreens, and that stays there. But all the other trees, the leaves fall off. And then in the spring, they start growing again, and they're bright green in the spring. But by the end of the summer, they've turned dark. Why is that? I always thought it was just because the leaves were new, and over time they acquire more chlorophyll or something, which actually makes them absorb heat more. And then they turn brown and orange and yellow or whatever and fall off, and the cycle begins again. But that happens in Britain, right? I don't know. I'm sure it does. I don't think that's a scientific observation. I think that's just his personal observation. Right? Let me just look that up. Let me just look that up. Why is North American fall so red compared with Europe? Oh, this might have something to do with it, even though we're talking about a different color. Leaves might turn red under the influence, perhaps, of the American light, and European species after many generations might adapt to this light and then show their American colors. What? During a fall, trees growing at a particular latitude in eastern North America receive significantly more solar radiation than do trees growing at the same latitude in Europe. That's probably why. Huh, that's very interesting. I've never heard that difference before. Way to go, Lawrence. Lawrence, I've been watching these British-American comparison videos for a long time now. That's the first time I've heard that. Way to go. Success. Cheers to you, Lawrence. Y'all be sure to go to Lost in the Pond and like and subscribe. And buy a mug. You can put your mayonnaise in there.
And that any of us look outside, and that's people watching. Who tucks their trousers into the real reason? A video for my YouTube channel. And finally, we get to the real reason that any of us look outside, and that's people watching. Who tucks their trousers into their socks? I grew up in a suburb, if you want to call it that.
Y'all, there was a time in my childhood where I tucked my trousers into my socks. That was big at my school for a minute, so I do.
Who tucks their trousers into their socks? I grew up in a suburb, if you want to call it that, which was a pretty close British equivalent to where I live now. And I can say that in both cases, either with a high level of curiosity or deep, deep suspicion, my eye has always been caught by pedestrians. And you might be thinking, Lawrence, do these pedestrians differ on either side of the pond? Well, obviously they're not the same exact people. That would be weird. And the ethnic makeup of both countries is obviously different. But the biggest difference that I've noticed is that when you see...
What's he saying? Is he saying in Britain he doesn't see black people walking down the sidewalk? What does that mean? Is there an ethnic difference? I feel like generally we have the same... Well, maybe not. Let's not get into that. That's a minefield we're not going to step into today.
Makeup of both countries is obviously different, but the biggest difference that I've noticed is that when you see pedestrians going past your house in this street, they're either walking their kid to school or they're walking their dog. This might not come as a surprise to most Americans, but it's pretty uncommon to see somebody just walking by themselves. In Britain, I feel like the reasons that anyone might walk past your house are very different. They could be walking the dog, they could be taking their kid to school, they could be walking to the shops, which are not that far away. They could be walking to catch the bus. They could have just got off the bus. And I'm not saying people in America don't do that. I just think they're less incentivized to do that because of the inherent car culture that surrounds this country. In fact, I've just realized that when people see me walking past their house, it's usually because I'm walking the dog, which, you know, only further cements my credibility as an American.
That's right. I know you like looking at the wind, Kafka, but we've got to go.
So that is it, Mr. Kafka. Feline YouTube...
That was creepy.
The dog, which, you know, only further cements my credibility as an American.
Yeah, I know you like looking at the wind, Kafka, but we've got to go.
So that...
What was that? Huh, people walking by. I bet that's, I mean, I see what he means. I know British folks like to walk a lot more than American folks do. And there's more public transportation for Brits to walk to. It's more accessible. And Americans drive more because we're separated more. I see people, y'all, I stare at my window all the time. I have this window in my living room and it looks right out onto the green strip in front of my building, and I watch people walk by. It's fascinating. I don't know where they're going. There are shops. There's an organic grocery at the end of the street. There are restaurants all over the place. There's a train stop nearby. There's a bus stop nearby. I don't know where they're going. A lot of people are walking their dogs. Don't see that many kids. Thank God. But, yeah, I'm trying to think of, like, the suburban version of that. He's right. What can I add to this? I don't know. Sometimes looking out the window is more fun than watching TV. But not more fun than watching YouTube videos. Right? Right. Help me. I'm curious to figure out what's going on with this running joke of the mayonnaise and the cat.
Cements my credibility as an American.
Yeah, I know you like looking at the wind, Kafka, but we've got to go.
So that is it. Mr. Kafka, feline YouTube sensation, has left us, but his legacy lives on. Why not celebrate him right now by watching the last video appearance he made while still alive, which was my previous video, in which we celebrated 2 years of having his best friend, Arthur. We're not best friends. He hated him, but it's still a lovely video. Until next time, goodbye.
Well, that was a good 2-year gift for your dog, for your cat to die then. Oh, look at this. Oh, Mr. Kafka. 2010 to 2025. Wow. It's pretty good. That's pretty good. I'm sorry, Lawrence, if you're watching this. I don't think he watches this. This is sad. Anyway, let's recap. Dead animal, dead animal, dead animal. Oh, birds. Interesting. Different birds. We got different birds, y'all. Cars. We have different cars, y'all. Incogni. Grass. We got different patches of grass, y'all. Walls. We got different designations of spaces. Barriers. Animals. We got different animals. Y'all got the cute ones. We got the deadly ones. Congratulations, Britain. You won. Cats. Yeah. Actually, I'm wondering if maybe a lot of Americans keep their cats indoors because of all the dangerous animals that we have out there. Bears, wolves, coyotes, snakes, Bigfoot. Although, I think Bigfoot loves cats. I don't think he would eat a cat. Cat, cat, cat. Reminding me of his dead animal. Cat, cat, cat. Mayonnaise. What was the mayonnaise thing? If y'all know what that was, let me know. Maybe it's a running joke that I have not caught on to. Oh, squirrels. Flying squirrels. Yeah, interesting. The greenness from radiation. We got more radiation hitting us, y'all. I wonder if we have more cancer. We're going to ChatGPT. Yes, Americans do tend to get skin cancer more often than British people, and there are a few key reasons for that difference. Sun exposure habits. Americans, especially in sunnier states like Florida, California, and Texas, that's me. Tanning culture. Americans have a tanning culture. Latitude and climate. Much of the UK has a cloudier and cooler climate than most of the US, so there's less year-round intense UV exposure. Skin tone demographics. Both countries have diverse populations, but non-Hispanic white Americans, who are at highest risk for skin cancer, make up a large percentage of the population than white Britons do in the UK today. Oh, really? Health campaigns and awareness. Both countries promote sun safety, but awareness levels and behaviors, like regular sunscreen use or skin checks, vary by region and generation. British cases are rising due to increased travel to sunny destinations, aging population, and delayed diagnosis due to less sun awareness in past decades. Brits win again with your cancer-free skin. Look at this. I got the makings of cancer coming at me. Okay, greenliness. Yeah, sounds like a nice thing, but we're dying for it. It's killing us. R.I.P. Kafka. R.I.P. I'm sorry, Lawrence. Again, well, this has been fun. I'd like to thank my patrons. I'd like to thank my Buy Me a Coffee folks. Thank y'all for watching this with me. And I'll see you next time. Later.